JB here. Hope everyone's doing outstanding. December 18th, 2024, 8:57 a.m. on this fine Wednesday. Talk quick about the markets. Some names I'm looking at and go from there. But welcome to Fed Day, the last Fed meeting of the year. Fed Chair Powell speak at 2 o'clock. And then, oh no, there'll be a Fed statement at 2 o'clock. Then Fed Chair Powell will speak at 2:30. Hopefully can allay any concerns, put the market on the right path into the end of the year, and still a 60% probability of two rate cuts in 2025. So I was talking about yesterday. I think it leaves an opportunity for both sides of the argument, right? So if the economy starts to get into the possibility of a recession, people start saying, "Oh, wow, the declining data, things like that," the Fed can be more aggressive in rate cuts. And then on the flip side, if the inflation bug starts rearing its head again, then the Fed can kind of stand pat. So I think it's kind of like in a sweet spot. We take a look at the SPY. Uh, broke under that 604 handle I was talking about as support yesterday, closed over 604 into the end of the day. It was a tight range again. I think it was 0.39% trading range. Opened at 604, hit a high of 605, and then hit a low of 602.89, but pretty much closed right where we opened. On the flip side, you have the Dow, right? So the Dow's down 9 sessions in a row. Oh my gosh, its biggest daily streak of losses since in 45 years. So if you're kind of reading all the headlines, and especially over the last day or two, it seems like you would think the market's off 5% from its highs already. It was yesterday afternoon. It was the amount of cash on the sidelines at record lows, right? All this leverage. Just wait till Bitcoin crashes. It's going to cause all these liquidations. And then here we are, stone throw away from all-time highs. The Fed comes out with anything that eases concerns. The SPY's going to trade over 610, and we'll be back at all-time highs. Just funny how it all works. And then it'll be back to bullish headlines. Not saying, take everything with a grain of salt. Certainly, if there's some shenanigans, maybe Powell has a couple missteps, and we start breaking 600 on a SPY in the afternoon, I'll look for some put hedges. I'm not going to sit here and be naive enough to think the market can't sell off, but it just you see this long enough, so it's like the same old story. Once we get a little weakness, then the bears start posting their headlines, and then the media starts coming out with headlines they know are going to get clicks. So interesting stuff nonetheless. But also, if you take a look at the Dow's nine session decline, a lot of it has to do with United Healthcare. I think it was December 4th or December 5th that event happened, tragic event. And then ever since, United Healthcare has sold off. And if you look, United Healthcare is the second largest weighting in the Dow because of its stock price. Doesn't have to do with anything with valuation, right? You could be a $1 valuation company and be a Dow component, and or 1,000, whatever your stock, it's all based on stock price, which is just mind boggling, but that's how it works. Also, Nvidia's had a rough go of it the last couple of weeks, and it has the second lowest weighting. So just take it all together and take it with a grain of salt. But United Healthcare's losses is over 50% or nearly 50% of the Dow's decline over the last 9 sessions. So would you think that there wouldn't be a 9-session streak without United Healthcare? But it is what it is. That's what the market is. But take a look at that chart, just pretty crazy. And also, you take a look at the Dow is down to its 50-day moving average. Similar to that, so is the small caps. All right, so other things to look at. The yield's pretty much flat yesterday. The VIX was actually round. It's back over 15. And then last but not least is that little indicator I had back in August too. The amount of stocks trading on their 50-day moving average on the S&P is under 40%. So you take it with either the half glass full viewpoint or the half glass empty viewpoint. If you're bearish, you say, wow, here's the market breadth, the trend, we're in a downtrend, it's going to continue to tailspin. Or if you look at the glass half full scenario, it was, hey, we're under our 50-day moving average on most of the stocks, or more than half, and the market's still near highs. There's room for more outperformance to the upside. So, of course, I take it through the viewpoint of the latter side of the argument, but if we break under 600 on a SPY, then they're going to say, told you so. The market breadth is what matters. We'll see what happens. Anyway, so that's overall markets. Also, IWM's right at its 200-day, 50-day moving average, 230.14. Small caps look to be gapping higher than the rest of the market, so maybe that bodes well for small caps today. Also, just one last thing to note: the Fed meeting, last meeting, it was like the least volatile session I've seen. You wouldn't even know it if you looked at the chart on the 1-minute candles at 2 o'clock and 2:30 last meeting. It almost seemed like a non-event at 2 o'clock, which is rarely seen over the last couple years. So probably a little more volatility here today heading into 2025, but certainly want to be around at 2 and 2:30. All right, it's overall market. So individual names I talked about yesterday. SolarEdge, the Goldman spectacular double upgrade, right, from sell to buy. talking about some of these solar names being oversold based on rising the high interest rates. As rates come down, it should bode well for the sector as a whole. Not only that, has 34% short interest. Just the kick I think it needs to really start to get going. 50-day moving average on Solar Edge 1507, so breaks over that, I think, off to the races. I I I would like to add some more strikes here. It's a more speculative play. I'm not saying this is like a great growth story, but it's always been an interesting name. But I used to follow back in the 300s and 200s. I haven't really followed it too much on the way down. But once it gets down here, you start looking at the name. I'm like, wow, I like it here. So that's Solar Edge. Peloton finally broke through that 1040, 1050 handle. Gave back some, went all the way up to 1090. Once it broke that, it was like a dam breaking, all the way up to 1090, then pull back, close at 1057, gapping again here this morning. Once it gets going, I think $12 and then $15 in the coming weeks. It's another one of those stories priced for bankruptcy. And I was saying the analogy yesterday. One of the analysts was saying Planet Fitness was the Amazon of fitness. I think Peloton is the Netflix of fitness. Right? How crazy does that sound? But to me, that's probably the best analogy. And people used to make fun of Netflix back in the day when they were creating their own content. Say, wow, they're spending billions of dollars on content. This is going to cause them to go bankrupt and not profitable. And now fast forward many years and look at where they are now. And I'm not saying fitness instructors are original content, but there are very loyal followers of these fitness instructors on the Peloton. So rants for other days. I think it continues to be a great story, that a turnaround story. Wouldn't be surprised to see this into the 20s in 2025 at some point. And that's Peloton. JOBY, back to back green sessions and less volatile sessions that we've seen in the past. To me, I think that maybe some consolidation here before the next leg. Held that 775 handle. 933 is the highs back in November. So if it gets over that, maybe I'll look for some more strikes here, being patient. Or he made some nice money on the 750 strikes, still holding the January 10s. Square got two annual stop-ins this morning. You had KeyBank boosting their price target from 95 to 120. So it just seems like every day there's another analyst upgrading their price target. And then you have Morgan Stanley, right? Morgan Stanley, who only on December 5th gave, they reiterated their sell or underperform rating on Square and $60 price target back on December 5th. And now fast forward 13 days later, and they're raising their price target to 65 from 60. It's like that little kid who wants the cookie and stomping their foot until they get the cookie. I don't know how you get in front of this Mack truck, but looks like that's what they're doing. Sometimes I actually like analysts who do that, and then almost sometimes you see the stocks just go the other direction. So we'll see which analyst wins today, but only a matter of time before that breaks 100 and gets some FOMO. TZOO, I was talking about yesterday afternoon. Just I've been watching for the last couple of weeks after I got out of my strikes, and it's been churning. And then 2 days ago, it breaks under 19 for the first time. I'm like, oh, good thing I didn't add some strikes. And then fast forward 2 days later, it's over $21, hitting multi-year highs. And now it looks like it's going to run and gun today, gap and go. Bids already at 21.50, it closed 21.25. I like this story a lot. So I'm not going to chase, but I was talking about 20 possible January 25s I might look to get today. But just a great story. And it's like one of those stories. It's like either maybe I'm wrong, like way wrong, and I'm like, maybe the market is right about it, or maybe no one really knows that, hey, this company might be able to grow revenues at least 40% at minimum year-over-year basis in 2025 just by updating their platform and creating a membership program. So, and then converting possibly 3% of their existing base. So anyway, more on that some other time. That's TZOO. Gold down 4 sessions in a row. My analogy is like a snowball rolling downhill. It's not a lot of snow on that ball right now, but I think the more it rolls down, the more snow will pick up, the faster it will go. One of these days, I mean, maybe I won't be alive when it happens, but it's going to be down 4 or 5% one day, and then the puts are going to pay substantially. So I'll continue to look for opportunities to play that for downside, but I'll just hold the GLD puts. The other side, I'll be looking for GLL calls, dust calls, JDust calls. JDust and dust, the calls are just so illiquid, so just makes it difficult to get an entry. That's that. Clear Secure, nice day yesterday. Still tight Bollinger Band setup. Funny how it works. You had a positive analyst note Needham on Tuesday, on Monday, and then Tuesday the stock rallies. So it sells off after the analyst note on Monday, and then it rallies yesterday nearly 2%. Only a matter of time before that breaks out. Same with Lemonade. Still have a nice bull flag here. It's It's gonna one of these days going to start off again this lemonade squeeze, similar to what happened when it was at 30 bucks, and I think it's over 60 bucks in a short period of time. That's that. I'm trying to think of some of the other names today. Joby, Roku's just sitting here. Only matter of time before that one starts to break out. I put on the watch list too. I think all this negative narrative around the market that we're a historically strong time frame. So pending any kind of shenanigans, it's like almost the end of the year with the repositioning and folks looking for maybe oversold names into 2025. Others looking to take profits in names that are huge gainers to offset losses, things like that. So I think it all is just net positive for the last couple weeks of the year. So anyway, but who knows? We'll find out later today when the Fed goes. And that's it, folks. Let's have a great day. I'll be back on audio later. Rock and roll.